Article 110.26 of the National Electrical Code, or NEC, requires a clearance of at least 3 feet in front of all electrical equipment for safe access and maintenance. This code section is a critical safety measure designed to protect electricians and homeowners from electrical hazards. The 3-foot clearance rule ensures that there is sufficient space for electricians to safely work on the electrical panel without being obstructed. This space allows for easy access to the panel's components, enabling electricians to perform necessary repairs, maintenance, and inspections. Without adequate clearance, the risk of electrical shock, arc flash, and other electrical accidents significantly increases. The working space, as defined by the NEC, should not be used for storage. It's designed to remain clear and unobstructed. Any obstruction, whether temporary or permanent, can impede access to the electrical panel during emergencies or routine maintenance. This can delay critical repairs and increase the risk of electrical hazards. In the context of home renovations or basement finishing, it's essential to plan the layout carefully to ensure that the electrical panel remains accessible and complies with the 3-foot clearance rule. This may involve relocating the panel, adjusting the placement of walls or cabinets, or implementing other design modifications to meet the code requirements. Regarding rerouting wiring to a new panel, you can have an electrician install a new panel in a different location and reroute the wiring to connect first to the new panel and then to the existing panel as a subpanel. However, this may involve significant rewiring and should be done by a qualified electrician. The practice of rerouting wiring to a new panel is a common solution when homeowners want to relocate or upgrade their electrical service. This approach involves installing a new main panel in a more suitable location and then feeding the existing panel as a subpanel. This can be particularly useful in situations where the original panel is in an inconvenient or unsafe location, such as directly in front of stairs or in a high-traffic area. When rerouting wiring, it's crucial to ensure that the new panel is properly sized to handle the electrical load of the entire house. This involves calculating the total amperage requirements of all circuits and appliances and selecting a panel with sufficient capacity. The wiring between the new main panel and the existing subpanel must also be appropriately sized to carry the load without overheating or causing voltage drop. Subpanels are generally allowed to be concealed within finished walls, provided there is accessible means for future inspection and maintenance. While main electrical panels must have clear and unobstructed access, subpanels have more flexibility in terms of placement. Subpanels can be concealed within finished walls, cabinets, or other enclosed spaces as long as they remain accessible for future inspection and maintenance. This means that the subpanel must be equipped with a readily accessible door, panel, or other means of entry that allows electricians to easily access the panel's components. The area around the subpanel should also be kept clear of obstructions to facilitate maintenance and repairs. It is important to note that even though subpanels can be concealed, they must still comply with all other applicable electrical codes and safety standards. This includes proper wiring, grounding, and overcurrent protection. The subpanel must also be clearly labeled to indicate its function and the circuits it serves. Regarding fireplace proximity to meter, panel, wiring, there are no specific code requirements regarding the proximity of a fireplace to an electrical meter or panel. However, it is generally recommended to maintain a minimum clearance of 6 inches between heat-producing appliances and electrical equipment to prevent overheating or damage. While the NEC does not explicitly address the proximity of fireplaces to electrical equipment, it is generally recommended to maintain a safe distance between heat-producing appliances and electrical components. Heat can degrade wiring insulation, cause breakers to trip, and lead to other electrical problems. To prevent these issues, it's advisable to keep a minimum clearance of 6 inches between the fireplace and any electrical panels, meters, or wiring. This clearance helps to dissipate heat and maintain a safe operating temperature for electrical components. In situations where space is limited, additional measures may be necessary to protect electrical equipment from heat. This can include installing heat shields, using high-temperature wiring, or providing additional ventilation. The specific requirements will depend on the type of fireplace, the proximity of the electrical equipment, and the local building codes. In your case, where part of the fireplace box would be under the panel, it is advisable to consult with a qualified electrician or fireplace installer to ensure that the installation meets safety standards. When a fireplace is positioned directly beneath an electrical panel, it's essential to take extra precautions to ensure safety and code compliance. The heat generated by the fireplace can rise and potentially damage the electrical panel or its components. To mitigate this risk, it's advisable to consult with a qualified electrician or fireplace installer to assess the situation and recommend appropriate measures. This may include installing a heat shield above the fireplace to deflect heat away from the electrical panel, using high-temperature wiring for any circuits in close proximity to the fireplace, or providing additional ventilation to dissipate heat. The electrician or fireplace installer can also ensure that the installation meets all applicable safety standards and local building codes. It is important to consider consulting with a licensed electrician to explore alternative options for concealing the main panel without violating code requirements. Consider installing a smaller subpanel in a more accessible location that can handle the essential loads for the basement, while leaving the current main panel as a service entrance panel, and ensure that the fireplace installation is performed by a qualified installer and that the proper clearances are maintained between the fireplace and electrical equipment. When concealing an electrical panel, it's crucial to explore alternative options that comply with the NEC and local building codes. This may involve working with a licensed electrician to find creative solutions that maintain the required clearances and accessibility while still achieving the desired aesthetic. One option is to recess the panel into the wall, which can reduce the amount of space it protrudes into the room. Another option is to build a decorative enclosure around the panel that allows for easy access while blending in with the surrounding decor. It's important to ensure that any enclosure or concealment method does not obstruct the panel's ventilation or create a fire hazard. Installing a smaller subpanel in a more accessible location can be a practical solution for managing electrical loads in a basement or other area of the house. By transferring some of the essential circuits to a subpanel, you can reduce the load on the main panel and potentially free up space for future expansion. The subpanel should be installed in a location that is easily accessible for maintenance and repairs and should comply with all applicable electrical codes and safety standards. The wiring between the main panel and the subpanel must also be appropriately sized to carry the load without overheating or causing voltage drop. When installing a fireplace, it's essential to ensure that the installation is performed by a qualified installer and that all proper clearances are maintained between the fireplace and electrical equipment. This includes maintaining a minimum clearance of 6 inches between the fireplace and any electrical panels, meters, or wiring, as well as ensuring that the fireplace is properly vented and grounded. The fireplace installer should also be familiar with local building codes and safety standards and should obtain all necessary permits before beginning the installation. Ensuring that all electrical work is performed by a qualified and licensed electrician is crucial for safety and code compliance. Electricians have the training, experience, and knowledge to properly install, repair, and maintain electrical systems in accordance with the NEC and local building codes. They can also identify potential hazards and recommend solutions to ensure the safety of your home and family. When hiring an electrician, it's important to verify their credentials, check their references, and ensure that they are properly insured. Obtaining the necessary permits for electrical work is essential for ensuring that the work is performed safely and in compliance with local building codes. Permits are typically required for new installations, alterations, or repairs to electrical systems. The permit process involves submitting plans and specifications to the local building department for review and approval. Once the work is completed, an inspector will visit the site to ensure that the work meets all applicable codes and standards. Failing to obtain the necessary permits can result in fines, delays, and potential safety hazards. Regularly inspecting and maintaining electrical systems is crucial for preventing electrical hazards and ensuring the safety of your home. Electrical systems should be inspected at least once a year by a qualified electrician to identify any potential problems, such as loose wiring, damaged insulation, or overloaded circuits. Regular maintenance can also include cleaning electrical panels, replacing worn-out components, and testing safety devices such as ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs. By addressing potential problems early, you can prevent costly repairs and reduce the risk of electrical fires or shocks. Understanding the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is essential for ensuring the safety and compliance of electrical installations. The NEC is a comprehensive set of standards and guidelines for electrical wiring equipment and systems. It is updated every 3 years to reflect the latest technologies and safety practices. While the NEC can be complex and difficult to understand, it is important to be familiar with the basic requirements and guidelines. You can find information about the NEC online, at your local library, or through educational courses and training programs. In summary, complying with electrical codes, maintaining safe clearances, and ensuring proper installation are essential for protecting your home and family from electrical hazards. By following these guidelines and working with qualified professionals, you can create a safe and reliable electrical system that meets your needs and complies with all applicable regulations. Remember to prioritize safety and always consult with experts when dealing with electrical work.